So I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule today.
Oh, I thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love this. This is fun.
Awesome. Well, let me go ahead and read your bio for everyone listening. So, Robin is a life strategist. Her goal is to empower women all over the world to find their passions and to follow their visions at any age. Through life, there are many transitions, but what matters most is that women realize their self-worth is non-negotiable. Robin has her Master of Science in Molecular Genetics from Case Western Reserve University, but was never passionate about that field. She went through life serving others and doing what others expected of her. After some thoughtful insight, she became an educator, mentor, speaker, author, and founder of Navigate and Empower LLC. Robin has over 25 years experience in the corporate and nonprofit world in education, training, and mentoring. She is the author of Alone But Not Lonely, recently published by Balboa Press. And Robin believes that women should know you are worth it. Robin's goals are to empower women all over the world to create the life you want and be unapologetically you. So first of all, congratulations on publishing your book, Robin. I have it right here. You were
Thank
so
you.
kind to send me a copy, and I have just been devouring it. There's so much good wisdom in this.
Oh, good. I'm
And
glad. That's the hope. I hope so.
yeah, it really is. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the podcast, because when I just read the description of your story and read your website, and you really have a story of transformation,
Hmm.
of, coming to a place of finding yourself and your identity. And then now you're sharing your message with other women and empowering other women, which is just such a great mission. And really, I think this title is something that it really will pique people's interest. And what I got out of the book, you have the subtitle here is Reclaim Your Identity and Be Unapologetically You. And I really
Hmm.
love the subtitle because I just think that that's what women need. It's just so many women get off track, as you say in the book, with, being the caretaker, being the mother, or just, following the dream that was set by someone else, and we don't even know why we're doing it.
Right.
So if you could start off just sharing, you really delve into it in the book. I encourage everyone to pick it up and read Robin's entire story. But I would love it if you could just briefly tell us, your story of finding your way to becoming a life coach, and how did you go through this transition and
You know,
transformation?
yeah, I really, by writing the book and, even in our group and with Tiffany and stuff, really delving into what my story was, I was trying to find what pieces of it, like, for instance, having my master's in molecular genetics, I did what I thought I was supposed to do and what people expected me, but I wasn't passionate about it. So when I really reflect back on my life, um, I really realized that I've always, and I am a server, and as a strategist or life coach, whichever way you want to put me, um, I really do love serving people and making sure people are taken care of. But I did it at a cost to myself through my life. I never used my voice. I was very shy and very introverted. So I went through these stages of life where I should have been following somewhat of my passion. There were so many things that I wanted to do. I grew up outside of New York City, and I had so many opportunities within the city, but it wasn't what was expected of me. I was supposed to be the student, and I was going to go to med school and all that, and then I got my degree in my master's in molecular genetics. But I have this story of really never finding who I was, and I think the key for me when my book had come out was I'm 53 and I turned 53 right as I sent it off to the publisher. And my mom passed away when I was 21 and she was 53. And so my kids are older now and out of the house. So it really has been on my mind, like, is this, I think it was kind of almost like a mortality check, really. Is this halfway in life for me? Because my mom was really my closest advisor, my confidant, my rock. And when I lost her, it was those years where I encourage my kids who are in their 20s now, this is your time to explore life, and you don't have ties to the world, explore. You could do anything you want to do. So do it. Um, and I didn't do that. I went and I just followed what I thought was the path I was supposed to take, and checked the boxes I was supposed to check. And, not that I regret what I've done. I got married, I've raised a family, and all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't really until I started to approach this 50 mark, thinking, my mom lost her life at 53, and what does that mean for me? So it was kind of a very surreal time. And it still really is, because my daughter happens to be 21 now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it was really a chance to look at, what do I really want to do? And so I didn't want to be a teacher in the sciences. I've held jobs as my kids were paying, we had to pay tuitions for colleges, but it never was a job that even I chose. It was a job to help pay the bills. It was a job to, have security for insurance and things like that. But when I really delve into what do I want to do, it was serving people. And so the best way I knew was to help them overcome what I have overcome, and still even learn to overcome, because as women, we tend to get in our own heads, no matter how good we think we are getting out of our heads. There's tricks and stuff that you have to deal with. But so I've always tried to, take that into a positive note and change that,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like it takes a lot of courage, Robin. Like it's very brave to sort of, assess the first half of your life and then decide, like, oh, actually, I want to do something different, something that's more meaningful, and to be able to take your gifts. Like that actually is like a big risk to sort of shift your life, right?
Well, it is, and I think what's interesting is when I've changed me, right? It's suddenly like I am different, because I've kind of figured out who I am and what do I really want to do, and to me it's like, okay, this is the second half of my life, so what am I going to do with it? Um,
Yeah.
so for me, it's kind of, I started actually as a teen life coach. My first certification was for teens, because I had teens. I worked in the school so much, and I really wanted to make sure that they had a voice. Where we live in Virginia, it seems like we're always funneling our kids through the system, not asking, what do you want to do with your life? And so having kids of my own, it was like, pause for a minute, what do you want to do? But as I worked with the teens, I was working with the moms. And the moms were my age and very similar, about to be empty nesters and things like that. The similarities were there, and we all had this very similar path of, who are we? We've served our families. And so it really, for me to serve as well as I serve, I think, I had to really look deep inside of myself and be completely vulnerable, you know.
Absolutely. And it does seem like, unfortunately, a big transformation often happens when we go through suffering, when we
Hmm.
experience some kind of big life event. And I know I can really identify with you because my mom just passed away from cancer about 3 months ago. And so it's
I'm
making
sorry.
me reassess. It's just a natural, sort of progression when you lose someone you love.
Hmm.
Um, but so I guess the point is that, the women you're speaking to, you know, it seems like they all will have to go on their own path. But at
Right.
least they can get the message, at least they have a leader and a mentor who can say, like, if you're ready, here's the direction you can
Right.
you know, you don't have to do what everybody else is telling you.
Exactly, exactly. So, I joke about it, but my goal is, it took me 53 years for me to figure it out. So if I could jumpstart you to, you know, learn the tools of the trade earlier, terrific. Um, but it's never too late. So,
Yep. Yep. Definitely. Well, there's so much to talk about that you share in your book. I wanted to touch on, you said, I'm just glancing at my questions here. So you said you need to commit to your vision, and that your vision really involves retraining your subconscious mind. And I've heard this a lot from various life coaches. And so you talk about the 3 C's of life. Could you share those 3 C's with our listeners?
right. So the 3 C's are that you need to commit, right? Commit to change. Actually, help me read this again. It's
Mm-hmm.
save me here.
I think, yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna glance here. Um, that's okay.
You
Yeah.
have to commit to take a chance
To
to make a
choosing.
change. Right.
Yeah, the 3 C's:
So,
choice, change, and chance and change.
commit,
Yeah.
chance, change, right? So you have to commit to take the chance to change. And so, um, I love the 3 C's because in a way it's very defined, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it also puts a perspective on it because you do have to, when you're ready, it's kind of like the exercise programs, right? Sometimes we're like, we're going to diet or we're going to be on a great workout program because the beach weather's coming up. And then it's like, yeah, skip that diet. I really didn't like it. Until you're really ready to commit to something, you're really not going to fully invest in it and make that change, right? So, I mean, it sounds a little cynical, but you really have to commit that you're going to make that change. And so each of the tools that I discuss in the book and that I talk about with people is you really have to, it's like training new muscles. You really have to take the time and not get frustrated, but just know that it's a pattern that you're changing. And, your mindset is something that how you're thinking and your mindset of how you do things is a pattern that you've been born with and that you've been doing for however long you've been doing it. So nothing's going to change overnight. It's just practicing and taking the patience to exercise and keep the practice going because then it becomes muscle
Mm-hmm.
memory.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I've heard it said several times that, our subconscious mind, all of our main beliefs are programmed in us when we're like 5 years old or less. Like by the time we're 5, we really can't change our beliefs. It
Isn't
takes
that
a lot of practice. It's
it
just
does take
wild.
practice, which is interesting because when you talk to people and that's what I love about women because we wonder sometimes why we feel so stuck, but when you look back to your childhood and your story and things that you've done, um, that programming starts so young.
Yep.
So yes, you can break the cycle, but it's an exercise that you have to really commit to doing. So, sorry about that.
That's okay.
You really have to commit to it. So it's the 3 C's. It's the commitment to take the chance, right? Because it is
Mm-hmm.
a chance that you're taking and it's very vulnerable sometimes and it's very real. Um, but you have to make that commitment to make the change.
Yep. Yep. Nice. Well, I like the simplicity of it. So I hope everyone can remember those 3 C's: the
Yeah, write
choice,
those three
chance,
C's
and
down.
change.
Yeah, just write those down and always you can look at it then.
Yeah, yeah, because then we don't have to sit around wondering, like, why am I stuck? Oh, I can just go back to those 3 C's and kind of get on the right track. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Awesome. And so that really ties into how we can prevent self-sabotage, because this is something that I know a lot of business owners run into. You start off with all this passion for running your business, And then all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
you have these hurdles, but you're not even realizing they're self-created a lot of the times. It's like we're blaming the externals, or, why aren't these people calling us back? Or why isn't my marketing working? And so forth. But we don't realize some of the habits we have that are preventing us from actually putting in the work, or just, making things happen in our business. It could be relationships as well. Maybe we're sabotaging our business relationships. Um, and then you said this one thing. I thought this was really a nugget in your book, which I think it's really going to help me moving forward. So I hope it helps other people. You had said that really we should talk to ourselves like we are our own best friend. So we're very
Mm-hmm.
nice to our own friends, and we'll say very nice and encouraging things to them. But when it comes to ourselves, we have this strong inner critic. We're very critical. And you say it's just like that childhood adage: if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And
Isn't that true though? It's so true.
it really is. And honestly, when I read that, I was like, why didn't I think of that? Like, why doesn't anyone tell us that when we're a kid? It's
But it,
really powerful.
well, thank you. It is. It's so true though, because we're so critical of ourselves. You know, we're our best friend and our worst friend. We're so ready to jump on everything wrong we do that we don't stop to pause and be like, it's okay. If a friend comes to you and had a bad day or something didn't work out, we're very consoling and, encouraging, like, it'll be okay. How can I help? Or we immediately try and be their caretaker, right? Well, that's what we don't do with ourselves. That's where self-care is so important. And when we do that for ourselves, we show up better. Than for ourselves, we show up better. For our business, we show up better. For families, we're just a better person.
Yeah, yeah. And it really takes a lot of training, I think. Like, I'm going to try it out over the next week and just, see what happens.
Well,
Um,
try it. And then when you feel yourself like reverting back, give yourself like 5 seconds before you want to like react to the situation and, yell at yourself or whatever. Just like really stop and do that 5 second kind of rule of, before you, and that's great with emails too, by the way, just like pause and just take a deep breath and reset the button before you have a reaction to it.
hmm Definitely, definitely. And then you also talk about the 3 steps to creating a systematic new way of thinking. Identify your circle. You talk about the importance of relationships, and then your personal message, which that's another nugget. I actually recorded mine. Let's dive
Did
into
you?
these. Yeah, I'm going to
Awesome.
share about it, but I wasn't expecting it. These 3 steps to creating a systematic new way of thinking. Can you share on those?
Well, you have to really, the personal message is kind of it's such a great, and it's easy too, right? But when we do it, you'll realize why didn't I do this before, right? But sometimes we just don't take the time to think about that. So the personal message is, you know, on your voicemail, on your voice memos on your phones, because we always have our phones with us 24/7 pretty much. Record a message to you and start with I am powerful because, and then fill in the blank. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not your, message to play to the world. This message solely is for you. So it could be 3 seconds, it could be 3 minutes, it doesn't matter. But when you're having those moments of self-doubt, play that message. And believe me, I have my own message, and it could be just that morning where you don't really want to get going, or those phone calls that you don't want to make, or, you're having that off day, or you're going into that meeting or before a speaking event. It just empowers you to hear yourself and remind yourself you got it and you're worth it and you know what you're doing, just go for it. But
Yeah,
personal messages is a great tool, and I just hope whoever is listening, go do it. It's the easiest thing to do. Just go and do it.
And you can record it. What I did is actually just record a voice memo on my phone. So
Right,
now I can
exactly.
access it at any time. And it's
Exactly.
just brilliant. It's
So
just,
write on your voice message, right on your memos, because then you can play it back to yourself whenever you need it. Easy click, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, we hear a lot about saying affirmations, but honestly, I feel like sometimes when I'm really stuck, I can't even think of an affirmation. Like,
Right.
it takes a lot of practice. So I feel there's something that it's sort of like doubly powerful, that we said it. We recorded that affirmation to ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
we said it out loud, and we could even repeat it. Like after we hear our own recording, I think we could probably, repeat it out loud again, or, but there's something about just having it recorded. Of course, I'm
Mm-hmm.
a media geek, but just, being able to hear it in our own voice, I think there's something that's really powerful about
That's what
that.
I think is the most powerful. It's you speaking to you. And so when you hear your own voice, I think it kind of triggers like that self-love and self-care and um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just that nurturing that you need, right? It's being nice to yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great practice. Um, well, then you shared a lot of other techniques with people, and I hope people will go out and get the book so that they
Yeah, the
can
other thing,
learn.
I hope so. The other thing, like with relationships, I talk a lot about um, things feeling heavy. And sometimes this is in relationships or not, being able to um, be around healthy relationships. And you have to really, it could be family, it could be friends, but you really have to look at, are you getting what you need? And not all relationships are always 50-50. Sometimes you have to give more, someone else has to give more, but you have to find what that balance is and that healthiness of that relationship. So if it's something that's just totally unhealthy and it's always a take, or you're always giving too much, sometimes you have to reevaluate it.
Oh, absolutely. And we have to do that at different stages in our life too. It seems like
All
because
the
you
time.
grow out of those relationships.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Well, I want to just acknowledge here we have some people watching. It looks like Hannah is watching. Hey, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
Thank you for joining us. If you want to type in a question, you're welcome to. I'll take the question in about 5 minutes. But yeah, it's fun to do this on Facebook Live and, to the Freedom 52 family. So we definitely want to include you, and we appreciate you watching live. And
Thank you all.
yeah, and Genevieve was here too. It looks like maybe she left, but in any case, yeah, I just want to acknowledge our audience. Um, and so, yeah, we touched on some other techniques. You talked about the 5-second rule,
Hmm.
and then, taking that time if you get an email, like not responding right away. And then you also talked about, which I thought was really cool, the importance of rituals. Can you
Hmm.
tell us, how do rituals help us when we're, trying to develop a new habit?
It helps you develop a pattern. So I really encourage people to take time in the morning and time in the evening, and to make it kind of easy. Um, but again, it's learning to do it, and repeat behavior. It's kind of like wash, lather, repeat. And so in the morning, whatever your ritual is, like if you like meditation, or you do a yoga program, or you like to listen to podcasts, or read something, but build in, I say start with 5 minutes. I like people to work up to 30 minutes, but trust me, that's much harder said than done. Um, but start with 5 minutes a day for 3 times this week. And if you can do that consistently, then go to 5 times that week before you try to up the time frame. And that's your specific time to really build in your rituals, build in that morning routine that's just for you. So pick, if it's a meditation thing, don't try and overload as to what those rituals are. Some people like to journal, some people like to read. Again, you can meditate. I kind of do an exercise, a smoothie, and just set my intentions for the day. So don't overload yourself, but and set your intentions for the day. What is that most important thing that has to happen that day for you? Not for the family, not for the dog, just for you. And then on the flip side, at night, kind of close out the day. Same sort of thing, if it start with 5 minutes, but set again this ritual time where the TV goes off and the cell phones go off, and all of that ends. And what I really encourage people to do is to write down three things that were good that happened that day, like happy thoughts of the day. And it could even be that you were able to go get a cup of coffee. Whatever was happy about that day, because it kind of closes out your day, closes out anything that has happened, and then you actually start sleeping a whole lot better. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try that tonight
try
for
that.
sure.
Try that. Because
That's
sometimes
good.
otherwise if we've had a really crazy busy day, we start to focus on everything either that our mind still runs, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we're either
Mm-hmm.
focusing on what we did get done, what we didn't get done, what we should get done tomorrow, and that whole thing. But when you take out the work part of it and kind of focus on what was good from that day for me, it kind of just settles you in.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you got to put away the devices too. Like I had to start doing that a long time ago, just like I was up on my phone right till I went to sleep. And I just like that idea of, just taking out the journal and writing down, focusing on the positive so that your mind is not like replaying all these things. And, for me, it was just like looking at the news and then I would end up like having nightmares or like, just thinking
I
about
know.
things in the news. And it's like, I don't need that. Like
Yeah, the news is not relaxing. Yeah, that's not going to help you sleep.
most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Nice.
and it's funny because some people are like, well, I like to just write and journal. That's great. So find what works for you. I mean, I like giving kind of tangible, like 3 things aren't that hard to do. But if you want to do more, do more. But,
Mm-hmm.
start with a smaller set time that you can build in easily, and then expand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Great. Well, I know you have a lot more techniques in the book, and we just touched on a few of them. Is there anything I left out? Anything else that you would like people to know about to help them in their business or, you know, getting in gear so they can, maybe they're just starting a business?
I think most important is that you really pick something that really fires you up, and if forget all the noise of is it a lot of people say to me like, oh, my husband's worried because it's, what's the income going to be or something like that. You have to, if you're passionate about it, you're going to make it work, but you have to really find what empowers you and do it for you. And treat it like, you're CEO of you and your company. And so be confident and go for it, and use these techniques and get rid of those self-sabotaging voices. And, we do it so well, we forget. And I will say, when you start using these techniques and then you stop because you get busy or you just forget, or oh, I'll do it later sort of thing, um, you will go back to it because it's like muscle memory. You'll go back to it because you'll miss it and you'll see how you really can't live without it. It'll trigger that switch, like, I need to go back to that. um, so I really think, if you're starting a business, just be gentle with yourself. Things aren't going to change overnight, patterns aren't going to change overnight. but be nice to yourself. As we were talking about, treat yourself like you're your best friend. Surround yourself by people that are positive, and if there's something that that you're not good at in your business, then find a support system and, find people to help with accountability.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to give one more opportunity here. It looks like we have a couple people watching.
Hi, Kathy.
Kathy, Hannah, if you ladies are still watching and you would like to ask a question, feel free to type it in. Seems like people get a little shy. They're like, oh my goodness. Let's see. Hello, hello. If anybody would like to ask a question, it's interesting because I think maybe that I'm getting a notification saying people are watching, but they might have actually jumped out of the room, which is fine. How about if anybody watches the replay, we're going to leave this up on the Freedom 52 page. And then we're repurposing the video, as I mentioned, for YouTube and stripping the audio, which goes out to iTunes, etc. for the podcast. But if people, I just love Facebook Live. So if people are watching the replay and they want to type in a question, let's come
Absolutely.
back. Yeah, we can come back and check it out and see what
Yeah,
they
that'd
have
be
to
fun.
say.
Absolutely. Send us questions.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Robin. And what have you got coming up? I know you are doing lots of different speaking engagements to promote your book and just to serve people. So what have you got coming up?
So coming up, well, I'll see you tomorrow for Freedom 52.
Yeah.
Somewhere, Tyson's, we think. But it'll be great.
Yep.
If anybody knows, please post that right now where we're going. And let's see, I spoke yesterday. I'm headed back to Canada for the Fearless Women's Summit in Montreal.
Oh, cool.
April.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be fun. April 21st. And then, of course, LA for Onwards to Freedom, May 3rd through the 6th, which I need to purchase my travel. That would be good. That's my big travel plans right now. I've got some local speaking things coming up, and I have my mastermind group in Leesburg the first and third Wednesday mornings at 9:30 at Portside Coffee, which is just downtown Leesburg. Anyone is welcome. A lovely group of women come together. Everyone pretty much solopreneurs. I think they're just two maybe that have a larger company, but it's great networking, just great minds. Just everybody supports each other very nicely. So first and third Wednesdays of the month. Next one will be actually March 21st. It'll be next week. So
Wonderful.
if you can come out or anybody else can, that'd be great.
Yeah.
What else do I have going on? I'm not sure. It seemed just crazy busy. And I'm trying to practice for this radio show, which I still don't know exactly when that's starting, but working on that radio show.
Your own radio show or
through
hosting or?
Yeah, I guess it'll be through Bold Brave Media. I'll be doing a live radio show.
Woo! Nice.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you? We're going to post up all your social media links in the show notes, but for people listening, where can they find you on Facebook and your website?
My website is www.navigate-empower.com, and my Facebook is
actually, can you say that one more time? Because on my side, it kind of lagged. So
okay,
just want to make sure we have it.
Sure, www.navigate-empower.com, and my Facebook page is Navigate Empower. There's no and in there. And then I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. And then my cell phone, if you ever just want to call me, which you more than welcome to do, is 703-615-2439.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Robin, for taking time out of your day. And I know
Thank
I've
you.
been wanting to get you on and do this interview for a while, so I really appreciate it. And again, this is the book. We'll put a link up there. You can also go to Robin's website and find it. It's called Alone But Not Lonely. It's available on Amazon. Encourage everyone to go out and get it. And then send us an email. Let us know what you thought of it, and if you tried out some of the tips and tricks that are, I should say, tips and techniques that, we talked about in this episode. We would love to hear from you.
I would love to hear from you. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. Have a great day, Robin.
You too.
Okay.
Thanks
See you
again.
soon.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye.